for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. I am your host, Toni Ringgold, and I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. I hope all of my listeners are having a wonderful weekend. It's been beautiful weather so far this week, and I hope that everyone is getting out and enjoying themselves. I wonder how everyone is doing with school. I know this is the third week of school, and my kiddos are starting to get homework and things of that nature, so that's always fun. Also having a lot of fun at Premier Music Academy, where I'm the director, and we are currently enrolling and looking for students who are interested in music. My roster is almost completely filled, but I do have some other availability as far as piano, guitar, and things of that nature. So if you are interested in getting some lessons for yourself, it don't have to be a kiddo. We serve ages 3 to 99, but you can definitely give me a call at 254-577-0993. Again, that's 254-577-0993. We're very excited about what's going on right at Premier Music Academy, located on 31st Street, right next to Jalisco's, across the street from Scott and White Hospital, right in Temple, Texas. You can also visit us at www.premiermusicacademy.com. But enough about music. Today I have a wonderful guest with me, someone who has been a part of the safety of Temple, Texas for a number of years. I have Mr. Thomas Pechal. He is the Community Education and Public Information Officer for Temple Fire and Rescue. Had the pleasure of meeting him when I came in for a class for my kiddos. As many of you know, I'm a mother of 3, ages 9, 7, and 4. And my 7-year-old and 4-year-old were due for some booster seats. And so I needed to get them in. And I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Pechal then. And he provided us with some car seats, which we really needed for the kiddos, and also helped us with installation. So that's just a part of what he does. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about who he is.
Well, thank you, Toni. Thank you for allowing me to come in and visit with your viewers. I am a firefighter paramedic with Temple Fire and Rescue. I've been with the department since January of 1982. My wife and I have 2 grown daughters, and we have 1 granddaughter. As a community education person, I am involved with a lot of community outreach, what people might consider. That would be, for example, CPR training, fire extinguisher training, a lot of fire and life safety programs that we do with the community, helping people stay safe, giving them the information to help them.
Right.
As the public information officer, I'm responsible for getting information out to our media partners. Again, another way of educating. If we have a fire, lessons learned. If someone had a working smoke alarm, we'll put that in. If someone had an escape plan, was able to safely get out, we try to take whatever happened with that fire and use as a teaching point to let someone know that this fire started because of unattended cooking, or it started because of discarded smoking materials or overloaded electrical outlets, or whatever the cause might be.
Right.
Again, as you mentioned, the car seats, we do work as, we do have myself and another coworker certified as car seat technicians. It's a national certification.
Oh, wow.
And we do work with parents and caregivers to educate them if they need assistance with installing the seat. Maybe the instructions are a little confusing and they're not quite sure. And then also through the state Department of Health Services, we have the distribution program. So we can provide seats to families who need that, because our goal is to keep children as safe as possible.
Right. And I do know that there are some parents that they definitely want to keep their children safe, but they just don't have the money to go out and purchase a new car seat. Most of the time I see parents, they have little ones, and probably up until maybe 4, I'll see a child in a car seat. But after a while, that child grows out, and then they just strap the child into the safety belt without having them properly in, a booster seat or whatever car seat. So what is the guideline when knowing whether your child needs to be in a car seat or not?
Well, the important thing is first of all, we're going to look at what the state law requires. And state law says that a child must be properly restrained in a safety seat until they reach the age of 8 years old or 4'9" tall.
Okay.
So if a child is under that age, then they need to be in a booster seat. There are various types of seats. There is a backless booster and there is a high back booster. But the important thing is the benefit of the booster seat is that it allows the child to sit up higher into the seat where the lap belt of the seat belt system is coming low across their hips.
Okay.
And it's keeping them safe at that point. What typically happens when parents put a child in and buckle them in with the seat belt, that seat belt is riding up higher across their abdomen. And then in a crash or a sudden stop, those internal organs, the liver, the spleen, could be damaged and the child could have internal bleeding. So it's really a safety-driven message that we try to get across of why those booster seats, it lifts the child up. And again, that lap belt is going low across their hips. Shoulder strap is coming across the shoulders, going across the collarbone. Again, another strong area across the shoulder to keep them intact inside the seat in case of a sudden stop or a crash.
And you spoke on something that I find very interesting. A lot of times parents, we just think as long as they're buckled in, they're okay. But actually, if the seatbelt is not on them properly and not hitting the right areas of their body, they can actually be damaged from the seatbelt.
That you're exactly right. Very, very true. And one of the other things we try to tell parents, Toni, is that, especially with the children, and we let them know, is that sometimes kids, if that shoulder strap is coming across and maybe rubbing close against the side of their neck or they find it uncomfortable, there's a tendency to put the shoulder strap behind their back. And we explain to them that that does not offer upper body protection. And again, if mom or dad has to make a quick stop, they're going flying forward from the upper body and their head is going to strike whatever's in front of them, whether it's the seat or whatever. Typically it's going to be the seat. But again, we let them know that seat belt is there to keep them safe.
Right. And if a parent needs to come in and say they need help with either installation of their car seat or if they need help maybe getting a car seat, when and who do they call? Do they need to make an appointment? Do you have class dates or how does that work?
We do have class dates. We typically, now sometimes because of the month, it does change up a little bit because of holidays and other things. We typically hold classes 3 times a month.
Okay.
The first Monday, the second Monday of the month, and those are both at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the last Monday of the month is at 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
That gives parents the chance who are working, who cannot get there during the daytime, gives the parents a chance to come in at the end of the month. As far as the distribution, those are guidelines that we must follow. So if a parent is needing a seat 3 times out of the month, they can come in. If a parent has a seat, and I say a parent, could be a grandparent, someone who is maybe an aunt or an uncle caring for that child,
right,
and they need help, they can call us. We do have people who just stop by, but we would ask that because of our schedules, if they'll call us at 298-5682, and that's our main administration number at Temple Fire and Rescue downtown on North 3rd Street at 210 North 3rd, corner of 3rd and Calhoun. If they'll call us, we can schedule an appointment. We ask that they bring the seat, the owner's manual for the seat, if at all possible.
Okay.
The owner's manual for the vehicle, if at all possible, and then most importantly, the child.
Right.
Because
right,
we need the child to make sure that they're fitting correctly in the seat. And again, sometimes if it's a grandparent, the child is coming in, they're out of town, we understand that. But ideally, we like to have all of that present so that we can make sure we're getting the correct and accurate fit.
Right. And so for me, what I did was I went ahead and got their homework early in schoolwork, and I pulled them so that they could be there because I have a 9-year-old and he's on a smaller side. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't know if he needed to get a booster seat or not. He happened to not need one because I know that you taught me, you said that the feet need to be able to be firmly on the floorboard of the car.
Correct.
And that the seat belt needs to come over the lower part of the hips
Right.
and right over the shoulder. And so when we tested that, he was fine. But parents do keep in mind that it is a best bet to have your kiddos come. They can be weighed and their height can be taken there. And I think that that's the better thing than to just guess and kind of look and think that it's correct. And then, this is really a difference between life and death. If you're just tuning in, my name is Toni Ringgold, and I'm the host of Sundays at the Square. I am here with Mr. Pechal. He is the Community Education and Public Information Officer for Temple Fire and Rescue. We just got through talking about safety, car safety, and the importance of car seats. And also, I kind of want to move on into fire safety. We do know that October is Fire Safety Month. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And even though we're in September, it is never too early to learn about fire safety and to know how to protect yourself. So what are some of the first things that a person needs to know when protecting themselves with fire safety?
Most important thing is to make sure you have a working smoke alarm. And when we say it working, it needs to be less than 10 years of age.
Okay.
A lot of people know that they need a smoke alarm. They know they need to change the battery out. And if you ask people, how do you know it's time to change the battery? Most people know that when it starts chirping or making that beeping noise, that's the low battery alarm.
Do you know, for the longest, I did not know what that was. I don't know why I didn't think that
Sure.
it was the smoke alarm, but for the longest I didn't know it. And then one day a friend of mine came over and she said, your alarm, your battery is out in your alarm. And I'm like, how do you know? She was like, just listen. And then we hear the little beep and she's like, honey, well, I had an alarm system. So I thought it had something to do with the alarm system.
Right.
Had no idea that it was actually the fire alarm or the smoke detector that was
Right.
giving me.
Right. That's the low battery alarm. And typically, when the battery starts running down, and on average, you're looking at about a year.
Okay.
Is how long a battery will last in the alarm. And then at that time, you need to change the alarm battery. Not the alarm itself, but change the battery.
Okay.
Check the alarm. Some of them may have a 9-volt battery. There may be others that are another type of either some of the pin light batteries. And that would be the same even if you have an electric or what we call a hardwired alarm.
Okay.
The newer homes will have electrical power to the smoke alarm, but they often will have a battery backup. So
Okay.
in the event of a power failure, you still have the working smoke alarm.
Where would a person go and get a smoke alarm?
We have a program, and actually all Bell County fire departments have a distribution program
Okay.
where they will provide smoke alarms to families who need them. And again, the criteria is we don't make anyone show any proof. They simply say, I need a smoke alarm. From the fire service standpoint, we would much rather come out and install an alarm in someone's home because we know that alarm gives early warning,
Right.
as opposed to going out and dealing with the aftermath of a fatality where someone did not get out of the house because of no early warning.
And so that brings me to another question, because I'm one of those people. I really believe in real life scenarios to illustrate the importance of things. And so what are some of the things that you've seen when people were not properly, when they didn't do what they needed to do to make sure that they were safe?
Well, sadly, sometimes people die in home fires because they don't have that early warning. The reality is that we tell people fire is fast, hot, dark, and deadly. Fire is fast. You may have as little as 1 to 2 minutes to get out of your house.
Wow.
In case of a fire. And that's because fire doubles in size every minute. So if you take a small fire, within 1 minute it will have doubled in size. In another minute it will have doubled again. So you get this doubling effect with every passing minute. So that's the first thing, is that fire is fast. When the smoke alarm activates, you must get out of your house right away. The second thing is that fire is hot. the temperature in a house fire when you're standing up for an adult at eye level is around 600 degrees. And we know that smoke and heat both rise. So when there's a fire, that hot air is rising up toward the ceiling. The same is happening with the smoke, and when it gets to the ceiling, it will start banking back down. So if your smoke alarm goes off and there's smoke in your house, you need to stay low. Because
I remember being a kid hearing stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll. Do you still teach that?
We do the stop, drop, and roll, but the stop, drop, and roll, and it's interesting that you bring that up. We'll ask kids a lot of times, what should you do if there's a fire in your house? And they'll say, and these are younger kids, but they'll say, stop, drop, and roll. Because the teachers have done a great job. Unfortunately, we want them to stop, drop, and roll if their clothes are on fire. We want them to get low and go if there's smoke in their house from the fire.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And again, when we tell them to get low on your hands and knees, because that's where the good air is. You know, we tell them get on your hands and knees like a puppy dog or a kitty cat, not like a snake. You don't have to get on your stomach and get out, but hands and knees, crawl out. So that's the important point from the fact that fire is very hot. The other thing to keep in mind is that fire is very dark. When something is burning, it produces a lot of smoke. That smoke is rising up, again, gets toward the ceiling, and it makes it very difficult for you to see. It also makes it very difficult for you to breathe because of all that smoke has a lot of poisonous gases, very harmful, deadly gases that will kill you. And then the last thing is that fire can be deadly because if they don't have a working smoke alarm, they don't have the early warning. So fire's fast, hot, dark, and deadly. So having a plan, having an escape plan, having an early warning system with a smoke alarm is critical to giving people that opportunity to get out of the house and get to their meeting place outside. Absolutely.
Okay, so this is some very, very, very valuable information. I'm learning just by sitting here. One of the things that you mentioned was the dark part, and for me, that is something that I never really thought about. Because when you think of fire, you think of bright, you think of flames. You don't ever think that it'll be hard to see or hard to know your way to out of a situation. Now, me, I live in a 2-story townhome.
Right.
So let's talk about some of the safety plans that someone can use, whether they're in a 1-story or what type of plans do you kind of recommend if they're in a 2-story? What if, the entire bottom floor is where the fire started and you're stuck on the 2nd floor? What do you do? Those are some of the things that I'm wondering about.
Toni, it's very important that families sit down at the table and they have a discussion. They take a piece of paper. They draw a floor plan of the house. What we tell people a lot of times is think of a bird's eye view, looking from the top, looking down.
Okay.
You want to draw a floor plan of every room in the house, bedroom, living room, kitchen, hallways. Then you want to mark 2 ways out of each room. Now, when we ask people, or if I ask you, if you needed to get out of your house, what's the fastest way to get out?
Depending on what floor I'm in.
Let's say you're on the 1st floor. If there's a fire in
my back door, probably.
Okay. So most people will say, I need to get out the door. And that's typically what we tell them to do. But because we're creatures of habit, we're so used to going through that door every single time, we forget about that second way out. And you always want to have a second way out of each room. So the second way out of a room would be a window.
Right.
Now, if you're on the ground floor, that's not a problem. If you're on a 2nd or 3rd floor,
right,
then it becomes more of a concern. So there are a couple of things that people can do. Number one is you can look, or the family can look at purchasing an escape ladder.
Okay.
These can be purchased at many of the home improvement stores. These can be purchased online. Certainly do some checking, but you can buy these, and they are very lightweight. They're not like the old clunky chain ladders that used to be.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking, like.
The newer ones have webbing.
Okay.
They have reinforced an alloy step, so they're lighter weight. They're easier to use. And then what you do is if there is a fire upstairs and you cannot get downstairs, then you would close the door to your bedroom
Okay.
to keep the smoke and the heat outside. We know that closed door will buy you time in case of a fire.
Right.
So you use the escape ladder, then climb down and go to your meeting place.
Okay.
If a family does not have an escape ladder, the best thing to do, again, close the door, turn on the light in the bedroom, go to the window and wave something like a T-shirt, pillowcase, something out the window, call for help as loud as you can. When the fire department arrives, they will get that person down.
Right.
Parents, if they have children that are on the second floor, if the parents get downstairs, they could tell the children, jump and we'll catch you. Or they could simply let the fire department know, okay, my child is here on this at this window in this room. But it's very important that families sit down and they practice, and not only talk about it, but actually practice the fire drill. Go through the steps, actually do this. Think back when you were in school, you had fire drills at school.
I remember fire drills, yes.
Well, most fire deaths don't happen at school. They happen at home where people are asleep. So we want families to do the same thing. Practice the fire drill. Don't just say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Actually go through the steps. Have mom or dad push the button on the smoke alarm. Have the kids get out of bed. They can go. They can check if there's no smoke in the hallway. Then they can continue on out and go to the meeting place. Meeting place is very important.
Okay.
You want to have a designated area, one place. You mentioned you live at a townhouse. Mm-hmm. So it may be a parking lot. It may be the driveway. Wherever it is, you want to know that your children are safely outside.
Right, right.
If your children are in the backyard and you get out in the front yard and you don't see your kids, what are you as a parent more likely to do?
Run back in the house.
You're going to go back in the. That's right.
Run back in there.
That's right. And if we can make sure that everyone knows that one meeting place, that one main meeting place, that only meeting place, then we don't have to worry about that. Because we have had cases here in Temple. Nationally it happens, but in Temple, where a parent got outside, realized a child was still inside the house, could not account for them. Parent went back into the house, and sadly the parent did not live. The parent died from going back in. Again, the smoke, the heat products, all the things that are given off.
Was the child in the house still too?
The child also was in the house, and there was a miscommunication on who was getting the child out. This was a very small child. Mom got out, realized that child was still in the house, went back in, and sadly we lost 2 lives that night from that fire.
Wow. Wow. And that's awful. That's really awful. And it just seems so simple, the things that you can do to prevent tragedy. For someone who is looking to come up with a safety plan, is there any type of material or like a template that they may be able to use to kind of get them thinking about it, website or anything that they may be able to look at?
There certainly is, Toni. There are a lot of sites online. A couple of that I would mention is the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, and the person can just simply type in www.nfpa.org, and they can go to that site. Another one is the U.S. Fire Administration.
Okay.
And they can Google that or do a word search and pull that up. But there are numerous other sites but those are 2 that come to mind very quickly. Those are very credible, very reliable sources, and it will actually give you where you can even print out an escape plan. There's a lot of safety information. If you want to know information about cooking safety, you can download some of that information. If it's electrical safety, holiday safety, whatever it is, there's information that has been researched and approved so that when you're going to those sites, you're getting credible, accurate information.
Awesome. Awesome. If you are just tuning in, you are tuned in to Sundays at the Square, where I'm your host, Toni Ringgold. Today I have Mr. Thomas Pechal. He is the Community Education and Public Information Officer for Temple Fire and Rescue. We're having a very informative and interesting conversation about fire safety. Very important to have a safety plan. It is a matter of life and death. And so I'm very excited to have you here. This information I'm learning, even sitting here, I'm learning a lot. So I know that Temple Fire and Rescue is very involved in the community, and I imagine you have some events coming up or some things that you may want to let our listeners know about.
We do. In fact, we have a couple of things. The most upcoming event, that is most occurring one, is on Saturday, September 17th. That will be at Gober Party House at 1516 West Avenue H. We're having an arts and crafts show.
Oh,
it's going to run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and this is benefiting our Rescue Elves toy distribution program. Each year, we have a program where we distribute toys to families who otherwise would not be able to provide Christmas for their children. Mm-hmm. So we've done this for a number of years. This is kind of a new avenue we're going with hosting a craft fair. We still have some booth space available, so if someone is a crafter and would like to set up, very reasonable booth space, but there is no charge to attend, and any donations at the Arts and Craft Fair will be used toward the toy distribution program. So if someone would like to drop off a new and unused toy, they could certainly do that.
Oh, wow.
Saturday, the 17th of September.
And that's good, getting started early.
Well,
you know?
Again, we know that for some families who are having trouble making ends meet, it's hard to tell a child, sorry, Santa's not going to come visit you this year.
Right.
And so we want to help provide that as a resource. And we find that in this area, in Temple, people are very giving.
Yes. Yes, they are.
They really do. They open their wallets.
Temple is very giving.
They will open their hearts, and they're very caring. Mm-hmm. And they have supported us with this program for many, many years. And we could not do this without the support of the community. And so we really appreciate that. I'll say that in advance of next Saturday and in the future, because we'll be doing some other events coming up with that to generate some funds and where people can drop off. And we do have organizations who will hold toy drives at work, some of the civic groups that will donate, and they have partnered with us for many years on this.
Absolutely. I know myself, I have a small academy on 31st Street. We would love to help host as well.
That would be great.
And we will collect and, help in any way possible. Definitely. This is, it's all about community.
It is.
It really is. And we appreciate what you're doing in the community. Saving lives is, oftentimes our public servicemen, they're not really celebrated. And the work that you do is very selfless. And so we definitely appreciate you on behalf of myself, on behalf of B106, and I'm sure on behalf of our listeners, we want to personally thank you for your service and your time and your efforts in the community and saving lives. I know, so you have that coming up on September the 17th.
Yes.
And then
on Saturday, October 1st, we have our fire safety open house. That will be from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. I'm sorry, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I was like, whoa, that's a party.
No. Yeah, let's back up on that. So it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So for 3 hours, we will be having an open house at our central fire station, again, on the corner of 3rd and Calhoun. Mm-hmm. We'll have activities for kids. We have an inflatable fire truck slide.
Ooh.
Where it's called our Kid Safety Challenge. So we invite the kids to come out, and this is a kid-oriented event where they can put on a turnout coat, a kid-sized turnout coat, and actually practice going through a little physical competition where they're testing themselves. Mm-hmm. But they crawl low under smoke. They have a dummy drag that they get to drag. This is very close to mirroring what firefighters will often do during a competition where they're testing their abilities. We'll we'll have them press the button on a smoke alarm. We'll have them go up the inflatable slide, and they have to decide. There's 2 ways down. They have to decide whether they're going out the window or the door, and they have a little mat they sit on, and they slide down. And then after they get out, they go to their meeting place. And then as we wrap up, they go over and they ring a bell. It's like what we call a carnival bell. So they get the little rubber mallet, and we have a smaller bell and we have a larger bell. So depending on the size of the kid, they can ring the bell. And we'll be doing hot dogs that day with drinks and chips, and we'll be giving fire truck rides.
Wow.
Taking tours of the fire station. We just invite everyone to come out and meet their neighborhood firefighters.
That sounds like a bunch of fun. I'm definitely going to make sure I bring my kiddos out. And that is going to be on Saturday, October the 1st from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's at the Central Fire Station, right?
That is correct.
And that is located where exactly?
The address is 210 North 3rd Street. It's just 2 blocks north of the Jack in the Box or the library downtown. So if you'll come up to 3rd and Adams, we're on the left-hand side. We're the 2-story building with the flagpoles out front. You won't be able to miss us.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in, Mr. Pechal. We definitely appreciate your service. We have just spoken with the Community Education and Public Information Officer of Temple Fire and Rescue. If you have any questions, remember we covered a lot today. We talked about fire safety. We talked about car safety and making sure that your kiddos have a proper car seat or that it's installed properly. We talked about upcoming events. Talked about the importance of a safety plan. If you have any questions about any of these things, please feel free to give a call to 254-298-5682. Again, that's 254-298-5682. Also, remember that there are 2 very special events coming up. On September the 17th, which is a Saturday, it's the Arts and Crafts Show at the Gober House. And what time does that start again? That
will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay. And this is an excellent time for you to be able to give back. Please bring a new, or gently used?
We're asking for new and unused.
New and unused toys to donate to someone that's less fortunate. Temple is a very big city that loves to give, and we just appreciate all of your support, and we ask that you come out and support that event. Again, that's Saturday, September the 17th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It is an arts and crafts show. If you are interested in being a vendor, there are some spaces available for very reasonable costs. And also, it's free to get in, so all the proceeds will go towards what is the name of the program?
It's called Rescue Elves.
Rescue Elves. And this is going to help out families that are less fortunate during Christmas time. Also, on October the 1st, we have the big open house, and that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Correct.
At the Central Fire Station, yes, which is located
210 North 3rd Street. It's on the corner of 3rd and Calhoun.
Going to be a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of activities for the kids. Going to get them thinking about fire safety, rides in a fire truck, and all kinds of stuff. I believe there's going to be some food there as well.
Yes, hot dogs, chips, and drinks.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, want to let everyone know about that. Mark your calendars. That is going to be Saturday, October 1st. Again, we want to thank you so much for coming in. And I want to thank my listeners for tuning in to Sundays at the Square. I am your host, Toni Ringgold. Remember, you can catch me on Facebook at Toni Ringgold. That's RINGGOLD. Hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend and getting ready for that Monday. Have a blessed day.